When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. And when I go out, yeah, I know
she's a man.
What's going on, my fellow conservative patriots? It's your boy Kevin. Welcome back to the channel. Bud Light used to be one of my favorite beers. I used to consume a lot of Bud Light, but I will no longer be doing so. And that is because the king of beers is now delving into the transgender activism space, and I will not be partaking in this game. Bud Light hires transgender social media influencer Dylan Mulvaney to be a paid spokesman to help sell their beverages. We can see here in the picture, this is Dylan Mulvaney, a social media influencer who has been documenting his transition from man to woman. As a celebration, Bud Light is now hiring Dylan Mulvaney. Mulvaney came out in a social media post, and said, "This month I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it." Here is the post itself. Let's take a listen.
Hi. Impressive carrying skills, right? I got some Bud Lights for us. So, I kept hearing about this thing called March Madness, and I thought we were all just having a hectic month, but it turns out it has something to do with sports. And I'm not sure exactly which sport, but either way, it's a cause to celebrate. This month, I celebrated my day 360.
Did you see he, they, them take a sip of the beer? It just looked like he, they, them just took a shot of 80 proof whiskey. What a joke.
65 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can.
Oh, what are these companies doing? What are these companies doing? If I was a shareholder of Anheuser-Busch, which is a publicly traded company, I would be selling my stock immediately. I would be getting out of my position because this is a joke. As an executive to Anheuser-Busch, you have an obligation not to be a social media activist, not to be a trans activist, but you have an obligation to your shareholders and to your company. And this is not doing that. This is going to be alienating a large portion of your customer base. You have no reason to do that. You have no reason to dip your toes in this water and alienate a large portion of your customer base and piss a lot of people off. And we know it's pissing a lot of people off because we have already started to see it on Twitter. Twitter memes have started to roll in. Look at this one here. Budweiser, we've all seen the commercials. The king of beers. Well, now Budweiser is identifying as the queen of beers. We also had another one down here. This one really pissed me off. If I'm walking through the store and I'm looking for what beer I'm going to buy, this, folks, is not going to entice me to buy Budweiser.
Oh my God.
Look at this can.
Yeah, I don't think so, Budweiser.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Look at this can. She, they, he, they, them. What a joke. There's absolutely no reason to do this. It is only going to separate your customer base. It's going to make a very, very, very small portion of your customers happy while pissing off a larger majority of your customer base. The Budweiser, the Anheuser-Busch customer base was middle-aged men. Middle-aged men between the ages of 25 to like 55. Do most middle-aged men agree with this decision? Hell no. Hell no. They just want to drink their beer after they get off a hard day's of work and be left alone. They don't want to be sold beer from Dylan Mulvaney, the transgender activist. And we cannot forget that Dylan Mulvaney had a meeting, a sit-down with the President of the United States. You literally cannot make this up.
And it feels like Republicans have turned trans and non-binary people into this thing to blame society's downfall on in some ways. And this narrative is not only dangerous to our mental health, but also our physical safety. And particularly trans women of color are being murdered at an alarming rate.
No, that is not true. That is not true in the slightest. We don't give a shit about what you do. I do not want to hurt you. I don't agree with you, but I'm not going to hurt you. I don't care what you do. And do you know why trans women of color are being murdered at an alarming rate? Do you know why? It's because they are walking the streets as prostitutes. They are engaged in prostitution. They will get picked up by a man, engage in a sexual act without telling the man that they're actually another man. That person who just paid for a sexual act finds out that this person is really a man and has a penis.
She is suffering from the worst case of hemorrhoids I have ever seen! He found Captain Winky!
And that the dude who paid for sex, gets mad and hurts the transgender prostitute. That is the reason that transgender women of color are being hurt at an alarming rate. No, it's because they're engaging in prostitution and not being upfront with the John. I'm not saying that's warranted. I'm not saying that should happen, but that is the reason. It's not because they're living their own life, minding their own business, and they're being hunted down. That's not happening. What's happening is they're walking the streets, working the streets, and not being upfront with their clients. All right, so this article goes on to say over here, and many executives have also picked him as a quasi-female spokesman to help sell fashion and consumer product brands. He's been littered. Dylan Mulvaney has made a lot of money via this transition from being a man to a woman. A lot of money. I'm talking about probably close to $1 million this year. He is putting a different product on his social media every single day. It has been a very lucrative business venture for Dylan Mulvaney to transition from man to woman, as we are in a similar time right now with these big companies paying advertisers as we were in the BLM riots. The BLM riots, these companies were throwing advertising dollars at BLM because they wanted the get out of jail free card. They wanted the we are woke business card. Well, a similar thing is happening now with the trans movement, as companies are throwing dollars left and right at these trans influencers just to be a part of the movement and the wokeness. And it's going to stop. It'll stop eventually, but it's going to continue for the coming weeks and months. And we as consumers have the right to not buy these products and not be a part of this charade. In comments reported by the Daily Mail, Mulvaney says all his matches on the exclusive dating app Raya seem to have second thoughts and reject the pairing before they can even go on a date. I still haven't been kissed as a girl. Well, no shit, Dylan. I wonder why. And I assume that I would have had that happen before day 365, Mulvaney lamented. Every day I'm realizing that it probably won't happen. Well, I wonder why it probably won't happen, buddy, old pal. Mulvaney continues, I'm getting a little impatient because especially when you're feeling yourself and even looking at that Grammys picture, I'm like, that's somebody who should not be single. Yeah, okay. Well, good luck to you, Dylan. It ain't happening, buddy. It ain't happening. Over the last 5 years, the overall stock market, even with the correction that we have seen during the Biden administration, is up over 50%. So you have the stock market up 50%. But look at Anheuser-Busch's stock. Over the last 5 years, Anheuser-Busch is down over 38%. So almost 40% Anheuser-Busch stock is down. And instead of focusing on better products, increasing their product line, getting more products into the hands of consumers, and increasing that share price, they are focusing on trans activism. And that is the problem with these companies. They are too concerned about what a very small margin of the United States population thinks about them, rather than increasing the share price for their shareholders, which is their obligation. They have more of a focus on transgender activism, BLM activism, in which we all saw what happened with BLM as it is blown up. It's no longer talked about because it was a fraud. It was a scam. And this transgender stuff is going to end up being even worse than the BLM nonsense. And while the shareholders of Anheuser-Busch are stuck holding the bag as the stock price plummets, Dylan Mulvaney is in Denmark, staying in a $3,000 per night hotel room, doing stuff like this.
Dylan does Denmark. I'm here with Ulla Henriksen to do the famous Scandinavian cold plunge. I'm going into the water. Ready?
So Mulvaney is making a bag. She's getting paid. He, she's, they, them is getting paid, while the shareholders of Anheuser-Busch are not getting paid. And that is in reverse. If you're taking a risk, investing in a company, you should be rewarded for that risk. People like Dylan Mulvaney should not be getting rewarded for getting lied to and lying to children. And here's the terrible part. Now, I'm not calling Dylan Mulvaney a groomer. I'm not saying that. I don't have any evidence of that. But there will be kids who see Dylan Mulvaney's social media account, young gay little boys who think, look at Dylan Mulvaney, traveling the world. She, he, they, them transitioned from being a man, a boy, into a woman, transitioned. And now he, they, them is getting to travel the world, stay in these luxurious hotels, is getting paid tons of money by these companies to transition. Maybe I want to do that. But here's a story of a girl who transitioned as a young girl into being a man and regrets it. And that is why grooming, even if it's unintentional, young kids to transition is so dangerous.
I can't believe this happened. I ruined my life. When you break it down, I decided that I didn't want to be a woman before I had ever even experienced being a woman. I had no idea what being a woman was like because I was a child. And now I feel like I will never entirely know. I want to say that I really feel like some people in the trans community and the trans medicalists and the doctors really, really target the most vulnerable of us. I have borderline personality disorder, and I know for a fact that this is the reason for my transition. It's a very difficult mental illness.
These are people with mental illness. These are people with mental illness 100% of the time. Gender dysphoria is a mental illness. So if you have a doctor, if you go to a doctor and say, I think I'm a woman. You're born a man, you go to a doctor, you say, I think I'm a woman. Obviously, you already have some underlying mental health issues. You have gender dysphoria. And that doctor says to you, yeah, I understand. The doctor's compassion. It's one of these trans rights doctors, these trans activist doctors. They say, yeah, I understand. I'll help you. We'll get through this together. I'll help you with these surgeries. That doctor's making a ton of money. That person may have to live with that regret for the rest of their life, like this person here. And it is disgusting. I don't think you should be able to do this until you're like 25, because I know when I was 21, 22, 23, I was making stupid decisions. Had substance abuse issues, making dumb decisions, got my girlfriend pregnant at the time. Don't regret having my son at all, but it wasn't a smart decision at the time. Now, I've since got through those issues and I love my life today. I'm 32 years old, but when I was 21, 22, 23, I was making really stupid decisions. And I am just scared that there may be a young gay dude out there, 20 years old, who sees Dylan Mulvaney traveling the world, getting paid a bag, and think to themselves, oh, I could do that. I could transition and I could make a lot of money. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Mulvaney got so lucky. It was a perfect storm, the perfect time, had a little bit of a social media influencer following, and it just all came together. And Mulvaney's a millionaire. Mulvaney's going to be a millionaire. But Mulvaney is also going to cause a lot of young people to have hard times in their life, and that is sad to see. So I will no longer be drinking any Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch products, including Bud Light, and I think it is shameful that these companies are delving into the activism space. Their job as a company, unless they're private, is to increase the share price for shareholders. It is not to become activists. It is not to tell people like me and you what we need to think and what our beliefs should be. That is our own thought process. That is our own job to develop our own beliefs. It's not the companies out there, the big conglomerates out there, job to do that for us. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. I love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until next time, peace.